Ahoy there viewers, and welcome back to another edition of Timbo's Oz Navy News. It's Monday 24th of February and we've got a bit of a special edition today focusing on what's been going on in the Tasman Sea with this Chinese task force ruffling a few feathers over the last few days. Let's get into the report. China's Ministry of Defence has accused Australia and New Zealand of hyping their response to two separate live fire drills conducted by the ships on Friday and Saturday, which forced commercial airlines to divert flights. Defence Minister Richard Marles said on Saturday that Beijing had failed to give satisfactory reasons for what he called inadequate notice of the live fire exercises in international waters near Australia a day earlier. The notification was very short, which meant that there were planes in the air which needed to divert around the airspace, Marles said. He said that the late notice was disconcerting for commercial aviation. When we do an activity of this kind, we would typically give 12 to 24 hours notice, he said. Marles did not say how many hours were given by the PLA. Wu Qian, a Chinese Defence Ministry spokesperson, insisted that Chinese actions were in full compliance with international law and international practices, and took aim at Canberra. Australia, knowing this well, made unreasonable accusations against China and deliberately hyped it up, he said. We are deeply surprised and strongly dissatisfied with this. China has become increasingly rankled by the US, Australia and its allies, moving ships throughout the Taiwan Strait. Most recently, HMAS Sydney and HMNZS Aotearoa sailed through the strait last September, but there was no media coverage in Australia of this controversial evolution, although it was reported in Asian media outlets. Defence officials from the US and its allies have long insisted on their right to freedom of navigation in the region. But the Chinese sending 3 vessels to international waters off the Australian coast was meant as a pointed message for Canberra. If you want to practice freedom of navigation in our backyard, this is what it looks like in your backyard. Earlier today, the task force was located about 280 nautical miles east of Tasmania, outside Australia's exclusive economic zone. Defence hasn't recently disclosed which Australian warship was monitoring the task force. It had been HMAS Arunta, but we don't know if that is still the case. Luckily for the New Zealand Defence Force, it was able to redeploy or retask HMNZS Takaha to follow the task force after that ship was supposed to deploy for Middle East deployment earlier this month on the 12th of February. Last week I predicted that the task force might go through the Bass Strait in a tit-for-tat response to our ships going for the Taiwan Strait. I guess we'll find out in the next day or so, and where the task force goes beyond that. Will it go along the south coast, up the west coast and back to the Indo-Pacific? Whatever happens, it's going to be interesting. And what also will be interesting will be what Australia's response will be when one of our ships goes up to the Indo-Pacific during a year on a regional presence deployment, and if it will again go for the Taiwan Strait. So yeah, interesting to see where this goes. So stay tuned, viewers. So that's today's special edition. I'll have another regular program later in the week or on the weekend. So until then, that is all.